Perhaps this isn't your first time in Somaliland. You've spent quite some time here. What's your opinions on Somaliland, and could you give us an insight into other roles that you've played during your time here as well, please?
Sure. Well, to start with, I wouldn't come back if I didn't enjoy it. So my impression of Somaliland is overwhelmingly positive. I really enjoy working here. I've been working here for about over a decade now, and coming back certainly every year, usually several times a year. And the roles I play tend to be in politics. This is the first time I've really been involved in a health organisation, and I think Shifat sort of involved me not because of my health expertise, because I didn't have any, but because I have got a long-term engagement with this area. So in the past, what I've done is I've been one of the coordinators of international election observation. So I was here in 2005, 2010, and 2012 for the elections. I've done research on a number of different elements, mostly related to politics and to some degree to livelihoods, thinking about some of the issues about how people make decisions about not just political decisions, but social and economic decisions, about how they make enough to get by. So it's a combination of different things, typical academic, I guess. It's the luxury of working at a university. I can get involved in a number of different areas, but it centers around those two things in the past, economy and politics, and now it's health as well.
That's quite interesting. So you said obviously politics and economy were major aspects that you were focusing on. Where do you see, perhaps, in your opinion, from what you've seen so far, what you've seen now, where do you see Somaliland going in terms of politically, and economically? Do you see it developing further, or do you see stagnation on that aspect?
Well, I can't answer that definitively because I don't know what's going to happen, but Somaliland's done a remarkable job of achieving a stability that's been really durable. The transition that's happening is not, a lot of outsiders in particular, but also Somalis call it democratization. It's not democratization. If you think about it, Somali society has always been very democratic, and actually voting for people in elections is a little bit less democratic than sitting around and talking about each issue one by one until you get to an agreement. So in a sense, the difficulty of the transition that Somaliland's been so successful at negotiating so far is that there's a need to sort of accept the compromises that come with voting for someone who then goes away and makes decisions on your part. And of course, a lot of people feel really disillusioned by that, because they do it, they go through the election, it's all wonderful, maybe their candidate wins, and then they go away and they do a whole lot of stuff that they don't really want them to do. So they get disillusioned and they say, why, we don't want this government's useless, get rid of them. So one of the biggest political challenges for Somaliland is to see that transition through and try and incorporate, as has happened so far, try and incorporate a lot of the traditional consensus building. So still talk about things beforehand, but that's quite a difficult transition. And the reason it's necessary is because without the consensus kind of system that's traditional, it doesn't really work in a nation state. It works as part of a bigger picture. But a nation state is so much built on having people that represent a bigger population that go and make deals on trade, make deals on all sorts of international things, and you need that representative kind of system to be able to make that function. Otherwise, you end up losing out as a nation or as a political entity. So it's needed from that point of view, but it can be supported, and I hope will continue to be supported by that kind of tradition of consensus building and discussing things and working out solutions as you go.